Good evening and greetings from Carson Hall at De La Salle Academy, also known as DLSA. My name is Josh Landay, and I have the pleasure of hosting tonight's virtual benefit. I was introduced to DLSA by my friend Ava Sieve, who is a longtime trustee. And the first time I walked through the front door and into this room, two smiling students walked up to me, extended their hands, and introduced themselves. And I knew from that moment what a unique school this is. Tonight, we honor Brother Brian Carty, founder and president of De La Salle Academy. Brother Brian joined the De La Salle Christian Brothers in 1961, having grown up with them as his own teachers from the 4th grade on. He earned 2 master's degrees, one in counseling psychology from NYU and another in social work from Columbia. His teaching career started at the Monsignor Kelly School, an experimental school that opened in 1965. The Kelly School provided inner-city boys with a multi-ethnic environment, and it trained its students to strive for academic excellence, leadership, and social commitment. At a young age, Brother Brian became the principal of Kelly in 1969. Unfortunately, several years later, due to financial hardship, the Archdiocese closed the Kelly School. But the seeds for De La Salle Academy had been planted. In 1984, armed with financial assistance from Kelly alumni, family, and friends, Brother Brian founded De La Salle Academy, a private, independent middle school for academically talented, economically less advantaged boys and girls. When the school opened in 1984, it was on the top floor of Holy Name School on Amsterdam Avenue between 96th and 97th. In 2014, the school relocated to 43rd Street, its current location, where I'm standing right now. Today, 37 years in, the students and the school are thriving thanks to the leadership and support of so many people and foundations over the years who make up this extraordinary community. Now, while it would be impossible to hear from everyone whose life was touched or transformed by Brother Brian throughout the last 37 years, this evening we are fortunate to be able to hear stories, memories, and reflections from a diverse group of people who represent the many facets of his extraordinary life. I'd like to take a moment now to check in with the man of the hour, Brother Brian Carty. What a year it's been, Brother Brian, but I know just how fortunate we are to both be here today in person at DLSA. And from what I hear, students returned to school just last week. How did it feel to see everybody coming back to school?
Well, as the song goes, okay, the corridors were alive with the sound of music. Having the kids into school, this school was built in 1888, and during its lifetime, it has been teeming with kids. So being away for a year, it was an unnatural silence. And I came in every day doing this time, doing work in the school. It just was not the same. But let me tell you, great delight hearing them today. De La Salle is a joyful noise. Middle school kids give you a joyful noise. They call this place their happy place. And they were happy today, and God, we were happy to see them as well.
Well, I'm going to be happy to get back here again, hopefully soon, so that I can experience that as well. I just want to thank you for inviting me to be a part of this special evening with you tonight. It's a real honor.
Thank you.
Now, please enjoy a collection of photos that span from the earliest days of the school on the Upper West Side to Brother Brian's warm embrace with his students, to the 20th anniversary gala, the move to the new location on West 43rd Street, renovations of the new school, the many traditions that have remained over the years, including the opening school ceremony, retreats, the Seder service, the holiday potluck, graduation, to just last week when the school reopened with hybrid instruction. How incredible to see the original school on the Upper West Side and what Carson Hall looked like here in the new school before the renovations. Now let's get to why we're all here tonight, to celebrate Brother Brian. But first, I'd like to bring to your attention that if you haven't done so already, there will be an opportunity to give to the Brother Brian Carty Legacy Fund. All proceeds from tonight will go directly to this fund, which supports financial aid. DLSA has an admission policy that is need-blind, which means a family's financial status is not considered when making admissions decisions. 45% of DLSA students come from families with incomes of $50,000 or less. 26% come from families with incomes of $30,000 or less. And 100% of students receive financial aid. To make a gift on the benefit page where you're watching this, look for "Click here" in yellow. And by clicking there, you can make your donation directly online to the Brother Brian Carty Legacy Fund. And I've been told that the Board of Trustees is putting forth a challenge. If we're able to raise $400,000 tonight, they will give an additional $25,000. I'm going to turn it over now to Brother David, who's a member of the Christian Brothers and has served on the faculty of De La Salle for over 30 years. Brother David will lead us in prayer.
Let us remember that we are in the holy presence of God and in the holy presence of one another. Almost 40 years ago, Brother Brian went on retreat. He was at a point in his life when he wanted to know what God had in mind for him in the future. A story by an anonymous author is apropos here. A climber was pouring up the last rocky face toward the mountaintop. Only a few more feet to go. But suddenly a rock slipped out from underfoot, and down he careered in a shower of gravel and rocks toward the granite lip, beyond which was nothing but empty air. Just at the last instant, he snagged the root of a bush and clung there, hanging over the edge. Panting, shellacked with sweat, he threw back his head and howled, "Help me! Is anybody up there? Help!" And a great voice came from nowhere. "Yes, I'll help you. I'm God. Just let go. I'll catch you." The climber exhausted a deep breath and stared down through his dangling toes to the floor of the valley below, almost invisible. He took another breath and cried, "Is there anybody else up there?" Instead of following the climber's example, Brother Brian recalled Jesus' words on the cross, "Father, into your hands I commend my spirit." He took the leap and with little resources went ahead and opened De La Salle Academy. Because of his faith, 2,000 youngsters over the past 37 years have been given an opportunity to improve their state in life and achieve great things for themselves, for their families, and for others. We pray in thanksgiving for Brother Brian's faith and the gift of De La Salle Academy that he has established for all of us, students, alumni, and staff. We are also grateful for the many generous people who have contributed to Brother Brian's work because of their belief in him. May God continue to bless him in gratitude for the service he gives to others, the love, the care, and the concern he has for each of us. Amen. St. John Baptist de La Salle, pray for us. Live Jesus in our hearts forever.
Now, as I mentioned earlier, De La Salle Academy was modeled after the Monsignor Kelly School, where Brother Brian was the principal. We'll now get to hear from some Kelly alumni. Mike Pila, 69, Charlie Toy, 69, Brian Egan, 70, and Mike Carroll, 71. By listening to them, you will understand how these Kelly alumni and others were instrumental in the founding of De La Salle Academy.
Brother Brian, I want to congratulate you for all you've accomplished and to thank you for all that you've done over the years for me and the other Kelly grads, as well as the kids from George Jackson and De La Salle.
I remember meeting Brother Brian over 54 years ago as an 11-year-old kid from Chinatown.
This gentle giant walks into the room. "Gentlemen, calm down," he says. "My name is Brother Brian Carty. Welcome to Monsignor Kelly."
Brother Brian is Kelly. Kelly and Brother Brian took the Kelly boys out of their neighborhoods, their boroughs, the city, and opened the world to them.
It was the greatest educational experience I've ever had.
I can attest to the distances all of us have traveled, literally and figuratively. The first in my family to go beyond high school, I have lived on the other side of the world.
I remember when I was graduating, Brother Brian wrote in my book, "You have a very good mind, but basically you're lazy," which was absolutely true. And I took that to heart.
Brother Brian made that possible. He made it happen.
To be sure, Brian has faithfully kept the sacred vows he took when he became a Christian brother.
Kelly was just the beginning of Brother Brian's influence on the world.
All four of them: poverty, chastity, obedience, and perpetual fundraising.
In 1982 and 1983, he rounded up that band of Kelly graduates from the 7 scant years of its existence and told them they were going to help him start a successor to Kelly.
By now, we all know his routine: the infectious smile, the mischievous glint in his eye, the hand buried deep inside your pocket.
So we gathered who knows how many times in the Midtown offices of the institutional investor, thanks to Kelly boy Mike Carroll, and used their phones to raise money to open De La Salle Academy in 1984.
In 2006, we held a celebration for Kelly's 40th anniversary.
It was actually the 41st anniversary.
I said, "Brian, that's 41 years. He said, 40 sells better, Mike."
Brother Brian wasn't so good at math.
I suppose anyone who's played golf with him understands how we went from 41 to 40. He had a knack for subtraction on the scorecard.
And now Brother Brian will mentor De La Salle and George Jackson Academy, George Jackson, Kelly boy, from a bit farther away. But he is always at the head of the table of Kelly.
Think long term was the lesson learned, and give back.
He has been an ever-present in my life since that day, for one reason or another. He has been a constant. He's always been sort of a touchstone, something I can go back to.
I'm amazed at the impact he's had on so many children like myself on their lives.
The number of lives, however, you've touched, and the number of lives those lives have touched are innumerable. Basically cannot be counted.
I'm proud to be one of the many blessed children of Brother Brian.
So, Brian, here's to you and to our 53 or 52 years of friendship.
Thank you to the Kelly alumni. It's really wonderful to listen to you and hear your memories and stories of Brother Brian. It's clear the tremendous impact he had on your lives and your role in the beginning and financing of DLSA. Now, speaking of financial support, the role of foundations throughout the years has been vital to the financial sustainability of the school. We'll now hear from Jane O'Connell, a longtime friend of Brother Brian. Jane is the chair of the board of trustees at the Altman Foundation, one of the first foundations to support DLSA.
The first thing that comes to mind when I think of Brother Brian is his dedication to kids, middle school kids from needy backgrounds, his students. They are all perfect as far as he was concerned. Brian is also fun, funny, mischievous, and most of all, compassionate. As a result, he has many friends. As an educator, he understands the middle school age child and his or her needs. I have often thought that Brian was at heart a middle schooler himself. When you see him with his students, he has a look of sheer joy. I first met Brian when I was an administrator at the Convent of the Sacred Heart, and he was seeking high school placement and scholarships for his 8th grade graders about to be graduates. He was a passionate advocate for his kids. We quickly became friends. I then moved to the Altman Foundation, and Brian applied for funding, of course. We found that his mission and dedication to the needs of the inner city child compelling, and for many years we supported De La Salle as it grew and thrived. Brian's perseverance and determination to make De La Salle one of the best in its field is awesome and changed so many lives. Despite the odds and barriers of starting a new educational institution in New York City, Brian just moved ahead and, of course, was a master fundraiser. His graduates know that all Brian has done to set them on trajectories that might not have seemed possible, but they will probably remember him most for his friendship and the care he took for each one of them. Thank you, Brian, for the care you take of all who come to know you.
Thank you, Jane. The school is fortunate to have had the financial support from the Altman Foundation and so many other foundations all these years. It's my pleasure now to introduce a piece performed by the De La Salle Academy Music Club. Any student, faculty member, past or present, or alum knows the tremendous importance of Hold Fast to Dreams, the song from the Langston Hughes poem, and the special meaning it has to Brother Brian. It's the school song, and it's sung every year at graduation. Tonight, we'll hear a special rendition of this song, especially done for this evening to honor Brother Brian.
Hold fast to dreams.
For if dreams die,
life is a broken winged bird
that cannot fly.
Hold fast to dreams.
For when dreams go,
life is a barren field,
frozen with snow. Hold fast to dreams.
For if dreams die,
life is a broken winged bird that cannot fly.
Hold fast to dreams.
For when dreams go,
life is a barren field, frozen with snow.
Wow. Thank you to the students in the music club. That was just beautiful. Now, throughout his 37 years, Brother Brian has formed many personal and professional relationships. Let's hear now from a dear friend and a very important person in the history of DLSA, Jean Bunn. Jean retired a couple of years ago, but she's still very much connected and involved at the school. She was there from the very beginning with Brother Brian.
Brother Brian and I met when I went to the original De La Salle on 97th Street in Amsterdam for an interview. And first thing I had to do was climb up 4 flights of stairs, and there found half a floor of 3 classrooms and a 4th classroom that was the office. And that was our little school. And having been accepted by Brother Brian, the next thing he told me was that we were going to have a faculty retreat. We were going to go away for a couple of days, and that way all of the incoming faculty could meet each other and get to know each other and learn about the school. He came with all of this material for us, with the vision of the school, the mission, all rules and regs, all kinds of things. And we got to know what his vision for the school was going to be. A few days later, the first 53 kids trudged up those same stairs, and we spent time talking to them, 3 days worth of talking to them, and then, pitched in to get started. We also began that very first Monday with a faculty meeting, which Brother Brian said would happen every week for a little while and get us going. And 37 years later, there's still a Monday faculty meeting every single week. And that's an important thing because the faculty spends time talking about the kids, getting to know what's going on with them and how things can improve and what needs to stay the same, what needs to change. So to the future of De La Salle, and in thanks to Brother Brian. Ad multos annos.
Thank you, Jean. So wonderful to hear the history of the beginning of the school. And despite the changes over the years, the mission remains stronger than ever. At the heart of DLSA are the students. As I said earlier, anyone who has ever stepped through those red doors when school is in session immediately feels the warmth and is usually greeted by a smiling middle schooler just beaming with pride in their school. Let's check in with some of the students to hear their favorite memories and stories of Brother Brian Carty.
So my favorite thing about Brother Brian would be his comforting hugs and his positive vibes that he always sends off. Every morning I always hug him, and that's pretty much my favorite part of the day.
He was someone who could tell certain stories, and he was the only one who would be able to tell them correctly. Whether it be stories about his childhood or stories about us, he would always remember them with such vivid detail.
He would tell them little stories of like when he was younger and like his day before De La Salle and everything. And I would always like sit like behind him and like sit in awe and like just like stare and like listen, and like it's just the wisdom you would hear from Brother Brian.
A memory that I have of Brother Brian is about his stories. He loves to tell stories, especially during community meeting. So as a quick summary, it is a personal connection that I have with Brother Brian, which is about a golf round that he had with the law firm. So I sat in the front row seats that day and kept nodding and reacting to his story. Brother Brian walks up to me and asks me if I play golf. I say yes, and he tells me to follow him to the third floor, which is the administrative office. He grabs this big box and asks Miss O'Brien to help him. He hands me a sleeve of golf balls stamped with the De La Salle logo. So it is something that I still have to this day, and this is my memory.
Brother Brian's been a very important person in my life. He has helped me when I went through a lot of family issues and issues in school, and I'm very glad that I got to meet him and be in this school where he helped me succeed academically, but also personally and emotionally.
Your words of wisdom are so special, and I will keep every single memory of your stories in a special place in my heart. Sometimes in the beginning of community meeting, I'm not in that great of a mood. But at the end of community meeting, my heart is filled with joy because of you.
One of the things that comes up a lot is valuing lifelong friendship.
A lesson I learned from Brother Brian is that De La Salle is more than just a building. It's a family and community. And that lesson has taken me throughout my De La Salle experience.
Community is important everywhere you go. The community is going to help you in anything you go through. Those toughest times that you're going to experience in life, community is going to come out. So I just want to say thank you, Brother Brian, for teaching me and all the other students at De La Salle everything we learned about community.
I think one of the biggest lessons Brother Brian taught me was the importance of community. And he said that him being a teacher himself was a learning experience as well, and how he treated his students like if they were his own kids. And it's kind of brought this idea of a second family in De La Salle. And I never really viewed school that way until I came to De La Salle and saw how close everybody was and how open you can be and how you can be yourself.
I remember that on a Christmas morning for the gathering celebration of Advent, that Brother Brian shared a lesson that created a turning point in my mind. It was the message to keep going and have tenacity and perseverance, and that indicated to not give up, but to be diligent. But at the same time, it also significantly indicated to me that troubles, tribulations, trepidations, and perturbations will come into our way. But that does not mean that we can give up, but it does indicate that we won't give up.
And one lesson I learned from Brother Brian is 35 years ago, he opened De La Salle for less advantaged students to help them get an education and to show them about community. And a lesson I learned from that is to work hard to get where you are, because he started with like a tight budget, and he worked hard so that he could get as far as he could be and to help his community. So I learned to work hard, and even though it might seem like it's going to be a difficult task, to just keep on trying and working to get it done. And that to care for my community and help people when they're in need.
Brother Brian and the other teachers created a safe environment for us to share things that were really personal to us. And I want to thank Brother Brian for making us feel comfortable at school.
During our conversation, he told me about what it meant to be a true De La Sallian, along with the importance of friendship and loyalty. Due to this conversation that Brother Brian and I had, I was able to understand that friendship, especially at De La Salle, is valuable and it should be cherished for the rest of our lives.
And I remember one time when I was having trouble at the beginning of my sixth grade year making friends in a new school, and Brother Brian told me that he was there to support me throughout my sixth grade year, and he gave me a reason not to fear, and ever since then they've always supported me. And I thank Brother Brian for that, because through his push, I was able to make people that have changed my life for the better.
And Brother Brian is always someone that we can come and talk to no matter what, and I'm really gonna miss him.
Brother Brian, you are a marvelous man who always makes us smile. You demonstrate the meaning of compassion and serve as a role model for the De La Salle community and others. You have shaped the lives of many students like myself. My family and I are very grateful to you. May God bless you.
If you haven't had the privilege to visit De La Salle yet, hopefully you'll get the chance in the fall to meet these incredible students in person. I can say from firsthand experience that they are impressive and exceptional, and you immediately feel that this is a community where these students thrive. You know right away that it's so much more than a school. Now, at this point in time, I'd like to give you an update on the money raised this evening. We have raised $390,510, which makes us just shy of $10,000 from achieving our goal. Thank you so much to all of you who have made a gift so far, and there is still time to help us reach $400,000. Remember, if we reach $400,000 tonight, the board will give an additional $25,000 to the Brother Brian Carty Legacy Fund. As a reminder, to make a gift on the virtual benefit, go directly to where it says click here on the page and click there. De La Salle Academy is a private independent school and also a member of the New York State Association of Independent Schools. Call it NYSAs. Brother Brian is beloved, well-known, and highly respected within this independent school community. And Brother Brian will tell you that he often hears from these schools that the De La Salle alumni are natural leaders and initiators of change. Through the years, he has formed deep personal and professional relationships with the members of NYSAs and other heads of schools. We'll hear now from two dear friends and colleagues, Barbara Swanson from NYSAs, who's also retiring this year, and Scott Reisinger, the head of the Trevor Day School.
I've known Brother Brian Carty for my entire career. When I was a fairly new in my job as the Associate Director for Professional Development at NYSAs, he was always so helpful and friendly, and I have many lovely memories of him at the conference for heads of school at Mohonk Mountain House. His smiling and warm embrace, his well-worn and well-loved Irish fisherman sweater, the humorous twinkle in his eye was always so welcome to all of us. When he was on the NYSAs board, I do remember that he didn't speak all that often, but when he did, his words were just the point of view that were exactly what we needed to hear. His opinions were always of compassion, what was best for students, and especially for social, racial, and economic justice. I always read his letters carefully. He is a wonderful writer, as we all know. His Christmas letter is especially important to me, and it's the best one I ever get every Christmas. And I love that it's full of anecdotes of his childhood, his growing up time, and his expressions of faith and hope and joy. So, Brother Brian, my good friend, I have loved knowing you and being supported by you. And now you and I are going to retire together. So let's retire in friendship.
Hello, Brother Brian. It's Deacon Scott. Well, you know, I've known you well now for about 7 years. And in fact, you and I hit it off really well the very first time we met. You know, to be with you is to be in the presence of joy. Thank you for that. I wish in so many ways I could be as eloquent as you are, because I have trouble putting to words what you mean to me and to so many other thousands and thousands of people. You know, we've had such fun together, telling jokes, riding back and forth to Mohonk Mountain House. Listen, I'm always willing to drive you up there and drive you back. We've shared stories, we've had lunch together. You have just about the best sense of humor of anyone I've ever met in my entire life. Yeah, you've made me laugh. No matter the trouble we've been in as heads of school, no matter the challenge, and we sure have had them, you've brought balance to my life. I hope I've done a little bit of that for you too. You are my dear friend, a man of extraordinary faith who has been blessed by God with so many talents. You're an educator to the core of your being, and you are, as St. Matthew writes, a peacemaker, a child of God. You are an inspiration to your colleagues at De La Salle Academy and to generations of students there whose lives you have affected. You've been their role model, a role model of what it means to be a leader, but a special kind of leader, one who serves others. And that has made you so sought after by your fellow school heads in the Guild of Independent Schools and elsewhere. You are, my friend, a man of the highest character, a man who lives his vocation and calling. You know, Brian, I often preach in church that saints walk among us on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. You are one of them. Your uniqueness as a head of school and as a Christian brother in our commonly shared faith in children and in our God has helped to change the world. Your humility, your patience, your kindness are the very embodiment of pure love, and you show that same love to everyone. It permeates your life. It permeates your school. It permeates your soul. It defines your calling. And you make it look so simple, this love, because that's who you are. Ann and I send our love right back to you, good friend. May God continue to bless you in your ministry. May God keep you happy, keep you safe, and in love with life and those God has created. As we say in Latin, ad multos annos, amice.
Thank you, Barbara and Scott. Earlier, I mentioned the success of the alumni. These students graduate with a solid foundation and the core values of care, support, and respect that enable them not only to excel in high school, college, and graduate school, but more importantly, to give back and to make a difference in this world. Mark Court, class of '07, is one of these many alumni. Let's hear from Mark, first as a 7th grader, and now as a doctor during his residency.
When I kind of came in, I was kind of a hothead. That person isn't there anymore. I'm a different person now that I've been in De La Salle. I've grown up completely.
Yep, that little hothead right there was me. My name is Mark Court, and I graduated from De La Salle all the way back in 2007. When I arrived on the doorstep of De La Salle Academy, I had my own ideas about what it was like to be a man and to be a member of the community. I was angry, I was short-sighted. Throughout 3 years at De La Salle, my life was truly, truly transformed. I was taught that the real measure of manhood isn't how afraid others are of you, but how you can uplift others. I learned that as a member of a community, it was my responsibility to care for those around me and make the world in which I live a better place. These values all came from one man, my brother Brian Carty. I know his title is brother, but for so many of us, he was a father figure. He lifted us up, and he listened, and he always, always, always made sure to tell us the truth. Sometimes you didn't want to hear the truth, but Brother Brian always made sure you heard what you needed to hear. And he always made sure that you were moving upwards and forwards. Now, I'm in the middle of residency. I'm a doctor that's still hard-headed, but is much less angry, and now has an understanding of all the ways in which I can give back to my community, and I can uplift the ones that are coming behind me. I want to say thank you so much to De La Salle Academy for the opportunity that you guys extended me. And I want to say thank you to Brother Brian. Without you, I would not be here. And you have changed the lives of thousands of children. Thank you so very much, and I wish you the most of luck in your next steps.
Thanks, Mark. Your personal story is really inspiring. Best of luck to you during your residency. Now, in addition to the alumni, a big part of the DLSA family, as Brother Brian refers to this community, are the parents of alumni. Years after their children graduate from DLSA, Brother Brian remains in close contact with them, and these relationships are extremely important to him. Vivian Taylor is one of these parents who has remained connected to Brother Brian in the school. Her daughter, Avanti, graduated in 1994. Vivian went on to serve on the Board of Trustees, and she was the secretary on the board for many years. We'll hear from Vivian, as well as another trustee, Ava Sieve. Now, as I mentioned previously, Ava is the friend who introduced me to DLSA. And anyone who knows Ava knows that she never misses an opportunity to talk about this school. She's one of the school's biggest cheerleaders and advocates.
As a De La Salle parent and former member of the De La Salle Board of Trustees, I am happy to pay homage to our dear and beloved Brother Brian Carty. He has long been a person who deserves honoring and attributes of love. During the crucial years of middle school, you were there for so many children, including my daughter Avanti. You helped to build substance and character in her. You called her out when she was not being real or truthful in a situation. And you believed that actually bringing the De La Salle community together to address any concerns that any members of that body had was important. And you included all of us in resolving problems and concerns for the school community, including the parents. Thank you, Brother Brian, for your incredible insight into our children. You have brought hope and you've brought opportunity, not only to them, but to their families as well. A formidable change that lasts a lifetime, changing future outcomes in phenomenal and superb ways, transforming families. You are a gift. Much love and appreciation to our very, very precious Brother Brian.
I am on the board of trustees for De La Salle, and it's been my great pleasure to be working with the school in this capacity for about a decade. I have a very specific way of characterizing how things work because I'm a consultant. Now, it may be a kind of illness, but I think of everything in PowerPoint slides and organizational charts. So, in thinking about my dear friend Brother Brian's legacy through De La Salle, 3 charts have come to mind: market size, product quality, and financial history and future projections. So first, let's turn to market size. I can prove that Brother Brian's legacy, now in 2021, is approximately 579 million individuals who have been influenced. I can prove that. Let's see how we got there. First, it starts with Brother Brian, and then it goes to the students and the former students, and then their families. And then these folks go on to New York City high schools, and then they are spread out all over colleges and universities in the United States. And then they work in governments throughout the country, and finally in companies throughout North America. Also, I know for sure that Brother Brian's legacy is a product with the absolute highest quality. The center of the product is that De La Salle teaches the whole person, socially, academically, and spiritually. And from there, the other product characteristics, bringing the whole family into the picture, how to speak to anyone by introducing yourself, shaking hands, and drawing them out, not to mention the language requirements of the school. And finally, there are serious standards and serious academics for all students. And then finally, What would be a consultant's analysis without the money part, I ask you? So as we can see from this chart, that even though Brian is retiring from his position, he still has a big, big job in front of him. Sure, we've done okay on the money department most years, but we do have a strategy going forward, and that strategy involves God's ear. And Brian, it is from your lips to God's ear specifically that we are depending on you for 2022. Congratulations on a fabulous legacy.
Wow. Many thanks, Vivian and Ava. As we continue to hear from some members of the alumni community, it's so clear just how much influence Brother Brian has had on their lives. As we know, he'll be retiring this year, and starting in July, Principal Angel Gonzalez, class of '99, will become the head of school, a new position at De La Salle Academy. I'll turn it over now to Angel to hear about his journey full circle from being a student at De La Salle, how Brother Brian is a father figure and a mentor to him, to his new role as head of school. After we hear from Angel, we'll hear from additional members of the alumni community, including current trustees. They'll recall lessons learned, memories, and the transformative role that Brother Brian has played in both their lives and their families' lives.
I have always said that some of the most beautiful memories I have as a child were those years I spent at De La Salle Academy. In large part, those memories were made possible because of the impact of Brother Brian on the school's mission, community, and culture. There are so many aspects of the school we could point to in order to delve into his legacy. However, it was my experience that Brother Brian's true gift was his ability to make every single student and faculty member feel heard, known, and loved. My fondest memories of Brother Brian as a young adolescent are climbing 4 flights of stairs at 97th Street and opening the main office door. I was one of the early birds, and so many faculty and students had not yet arrived. There, sitting at the reception desk, was Brother Brian with his extra large iced coffee from Dunkin' Donuts. After a firm handshake or hug, Brother Brian would invite me to pull over a chair and sit with him at the desk. He would sit there and answer phones, and we greeted students and staff as they walked in. In between phone calls, he would model how to answer the phones and show me how to take a message. He would then put me to the test when it was time for him to go into the hallway to turn on the lights, open the main doors, and play his classical music. In between these calls, he and I would chat about school, family, and any challenges I was facing. We would also tell each other corny jokes and laugh profusely. Sometimes the conversation would turn serious, and he would sternly but lovingly offer words of correction and redirection. What always amazed me was that someone so busy and larger than life could even find a few minutes to sit and listen to me. He made me feel like I mattered and that what I had to offer was truly important and significant. At a time when so many young adolescents turn away from adults for fear of judgment, impatience, or lack of understanding, Brother Brian provided a space for young people to laugh, cry, and love with caring adults. While moving to 43rd Street has certainly changed the feel of that one-floor schoolhouse, I walk through the doors of De La Salle every day, still feeling with this new generation of De La Salle faculty and students that they are heard, seen, and loved. Having the honor of following in Brother Brian's footsteps as the next head of school comes with the responsibility that I, along with the faculty, continue to create a culture that allows us to see God, creation, and the universe in each and every single child that comes through our doors. If we are truly to keep the legacy of Brother Brian alive, we must have the courage to love unconditionally, laugh profusely, and listen intently. These are the foundational elements that transform our school into the sacred space we call community. And so as we transition into this next chapter of our school's history, my hope and prayer is that we honor Brother Brian's work by recommitting ourselves to doing the everyday work that acknowledges the sacredness of the diverse lives, gifts, and experiences that are entrusted to our care. Live love in our hearts forever.
First, I remember being in the 6th grade and learning about De La Salle and thinking, I don't really want to go there. The principal's name is Brother Brian. It's going to be really strict. I'm not going to have any fun.
And I remember sitting in Brother Brian's office and telling him expressly that I did not want to go to De La Salle.
Attending De La Salle and meeting and learning from Brother Brian was a life-changing opportunity for me. It opened doors that only I could have dreamed of prior to attending the school.
Brother Brian means everything to me.
Brother Brian, you've had a long and lasting impact on our lives.
Fortunately, Brother Brian had a way of seeing right through me to the core, and he knew that this would really be the best fit for me.
De La Salle was always at home. It wasn't just a school. It was a place where we felt deeply seen, valued, and loved, and constantly reminded that it was our duty to make sure that others in our presence felt that same exact way.
Every day at De La Salle, Brother Brian created a safe place for all of us students to be ourselves, to be curious about all things, and to treat everyone with kindness and love, even when we didn't feel like it.
And as a bonus, we all also learned how to clean blackboards really well and sweep and mop floors really well as part of the afternoon work duties.
Some of my favorite memories are really sitting in his office at De La Salle on 96th Street. And it was in this cubicle, and there were papers stacked high on either side, but there was this big brown leather chair that we would sit in, and he would just tell us all kinds of stories from his youth, all of the mischief he caused, all of the trouble he got into, all of the risks he took. And in those stories, there were lots of laughs, but there were also lots of lessons.
He helped build generations of smart, strong, self-confident people with integrity, strong work ethics, and a desire to serve others.
Over the years, he's been a teacher, he's been a mentor, a friend, an advisor, a trusted confidant.
At many times in my life, I've actually called him and asked him for advice and his input, and he's been there. What middle school principal does that? What middle school teacher or educator stays in each of their students' lives until they're adults?
Brother Brian, you've had a tremendous impact on us in our communities. Thank you for always reminding us of the importance of serving others and to use our gifts and talent in service of others, and especially the most vulnerable.
It left in me a sense of duty to always make my community a better place.
Helping companies build inclusive and equitable company cultures, which is something that I can take back to my time at De La Salle in terms of how you build a community, how you trust one another, how you build engaging relationships within the workplace. That all started at school with De La Salle and with Brother Brian.
And you are the embodiment of the concept that one person can change this world.
We have an obligation to be the movers and shakers in every environment. So every place I've gone, I've taken that lesson with me and tried to be a disruptor in the best way possible.
When you talk about purpose-driven life, your name needs to be next to that phrase, because that is you. That's just you.
Listening to alumni recall their memories demonstrates how this one man, Brother Brian, has impacted not only them, but their families too. These reflections and testimonials show his commitment, his dedication, and his calling to serve the needs of each and every student who walked through the doors of De La Salle Academy. If you know Brother Brian, you know that he's always the last to leave Carson Hall at any event, and he always makes time to continue being a mentor, an advisor, and a father figure, even years after students leave DLSA. It's my honor now to turn it over to the person who is why we're all here this evening, Brother Brian Carty.
Wow. I am just grateful beyond measure. I mean, those of you who know me, I can look at the video and I can see that I am red because I blush, and I blush easily. Okay. I turn red as a beet when I laugh. Okay. And events like this, okay, I blush as well. Okay. But I can feel the heat, but I can also feel the love, okay, and the care. And boy, that means so much to me. So yeah. I take all that I do for granted. I just presume this is what I've been asked to do. Part of my vocation and part of my faith experience comes from that, because one of the things that people have heard the story, that in a burst of fervor, okay, in my prayer, I had asked God, okay, what do you want from me? What do you want from me? And boy, the answer came in loud and clear, okay, that to add the meaning for all that has gone before is to do something, okay, similar to the Monsignor Kelly School, because I stayed in touch with the alums from Kelly and had made such an impact on their lives and such strong bonds of friendship, okay, that another generation of kids needs that same experience. But this time we've got to do it again. So believe it or not, I took that as my marching orders. I know my own strengths, I know my own weaknesses, I know my things I can do and can't do. But I'm one of the things that people tell me that there's a certain fearlessness about me. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to try it. All we can do is, okay, we can fail, but we'll just get up and we'll try again. But here, knowing God has been looking out for us, we've been in a good place, and so many people came together to make De La Salle. I know people say, "Oh, it's you, Brother Brian." I said, "No. Let's look at the pronouns. It is us. It is us as a community of people, okay, who have been captured by the imagination and the mission of the school, okay. And when they get to know the kids and realize just how powerful a school can be, really to change the lives, okay, of the kids, and the fact that being able to be the leader of a school like this, being able to be the one who took God's word, okay, and put it into action, means a lot to me. So if that's the way I'm remembered, then I am delighted, because I think this is our work, and we're doing God's work. So, and one of the things I need to do, obviously, is give great gratitude to all of you, the people who helped to make De La Salle really what it is. Okay? Now, clearly, I say publicly all the time, a school is only as good as its faculty. If you saw the old school, okay, on the top floor of Holy Name Building, it was what we call the old days, old like Pippa McGee's closet. We had a little bit of everything. It was crowded. It was hand-me-downs. But it was our place. It was cozy. It was home. It was comfortable. And so that was a blessed by the fact we had great faculties over the years. The founding faculty, Jean talked about that founding faculty. What a resourceful group. I said we had nothing. We really, literally had nothing. Jean maybe didn't tell the story, but we got a bunch of Spanish textbooks, okay, from an all-boys school, okay, and when she said to me, "All right, well, what textbook am I going to use?" So I pointed to a pile and said, "That they're your Spanish textbooks." So she goes through them, okay, and she starts to laugh. And the next one, she starts to laugh even more. So she says, "Well, I'm going to need to go out and get a couple of erasers. There's a lot of stuff in this book I'm going to have to erase." Okay? So, that's the kind of the humor that we had. And that was the kind of situation that we had. When you take somebody's hand-me-downs, okay, you don't know what you're getting yourself into. Okay? But what a great faculty. And the faculty currently give of themselves, their heart, okay, their energy, their love of the kids, and take them into their heart and nurture them as well. So, I appreciate the kudos to me, okay, but the kudos are really to the faculty. They're the ones that put it into practice. Another group who was really instrumental are the parents. Okay? I remember going around in the spring of '84 to a bunch of the schools, okay, meeting with the parents and telling them about this dream of what's going to be in place in September. We didn't have anything. We hadn't done anything yet. We haven't, gone to the highways and byways and gotten textbooks and furniture. Okay, we just told them, just trust me. We're going to be a school, and this school is really going to make a difference. And they did. So, throwing the other little sixth graders and seventh graders, onto the subway. Back in 1984, those of us who were old enough can remember those graffiti-filled subway cars that looked like chaos. And they threw them onto the subway each morning and arrived down at Holy Name. So really grateful to them for their trust in me, and I think we repaid their trust. Okay, I think we repaid their trust in spades. To the supporters, I mean, obviously the Kelly alums worked so hard at raising the funds. Without them, we wouldn't be here. You saw pictures tonight of like Ralph Collado, who was our first chair of the board, Frank Coleman, Ramon Morales, Tim Broslin, George Jackson, okay, Mike Carroll, you saw, Mike Pillar, you saw, just to name a few. And they helped lay the foundation, really, of what we have built today. It was from their experience. Because one of the things that I asked them when we got together in the spring of '81, I said, we're going to do it again. Okay, what should we do differently? And they basically said, do what you did. The intellectual rigor was terrific. They said, but the thing is, make them right. Make them right, and make them right some more. Okay, if they come out great writers, they're going to make a difference. So much of what we do in our curriculum comes from the support, okay, and the advice of the faculty. Student sponsors, individual foundations. Okay, you heard Jane O'Connell. Well, she was our first foundation gift, and opened the doors to the other foundations as well. Okay, but you'll hear names like John Klingenstein, Charles Keating, Dan and Kate Houlihan, Joe Perella, Ray McGuire, Carol Argentin, Joan Colello, Virginia Sloan, okay, just to name a few. And for their foundation support really was the lifeblood of the school.
There are a bunch of numbers there, 500 million.
And there you have the board.
On
Okay,
the second line.
okay. Serving on the board, okay, is a selfless act of generosity. On their shoulders is the future health of De La Salle. And some of the members have served their children at De La Salle for over 30 years.
I was just like,
And
good
that's
for
a
you guys to
long
get
time
9 figures.
commitment. Okay. We have been blessed with board chairs to provide the corporate leadership. As I mentioned, Ralph Collado was the very first chair of the board. Brother James Collins, who was director of development of Manhattan College, okay, followed him. And then Ray McGuire, who for well over close to 25 years, okay, was the chair of the board. And he is also now, okay, trying to become the chair of the board of New York, okay, by running, okay, for the mayor of New York. So if I got to put my little pitch in for those of you who vote in New York, vote for Ray. Vote for Ray. Okay. And then to my community, I joined the Christian Brothers in '61 after high school, which was pretty normative, back in those days. We called it having a vocation.
At this time, I would like to give thanks to all those past and present, along with Brother Brian, who are the reason why the mission of De La Salle Academy continues today and in 2020 and 2021 has transformed the lives of over 1,700 alumni. On behalf of the board, we are grateful for the time commitment, dedication, and financial support from each and every one of you. It is because of you that De La Salle is the success that it is today.
I hope you have all enjoyed a wonderful evening of honoring our founder and president, Brother Brian Carty. I've been on the board since 1985. Back in 1984, I was a young professional thinking that I should probably exhibit some social responsibility and contribute something back to society. I happened to read a story in Newsweek about a little school on the Upper West Side serving gifted students from low-income families. The article described how Brother Brian and his devoted crew had painted and refinished floors, lugged old donated furniture and lockers up 4 flights of stairs by themselves all summer long to get the school ready. They had managed to open the school in September, albeit without enough money to make it to Christmas. At the end of that Newsweek story, all I could think was that this was a special place and perhaps I could make a difference here. Well, here I am 36 years later. I'm not sure how much of a difference I've made, but I am absolutely certain that Brother Brian and De La Salle have made a world of difference for the almost 1,800 students that have graduated from the school. It's been my privilege to have been along for this amazing ride and to have contributed even a tiny bit towards the success of De La Salle. The first of my heartfelt thank yous must go to Brother Brian Carty for his inspiration and vision in founding the school and for his perseverance and total dedication to De La Salle's mission and success for the last 37 years. Your legacy lives on in everyone whom you have touched. Thank you for changing all of our lives for the better. At this time, I would like to thank all of those who made tonight possible. Many thanks to our phenomenal host, Josh Landay. Thank you to the development team, Director of Development, Deirdre O'Brien, and her team, Saki Mori and Mary Elaine Jenkins. Thank you to everyone who gave of their time to give video testimonials. Thank you to Megan Bendarts and the De La Salle Music Club, and a heartfelt thank you to the teachers and staff at De La Salle who every day devote their time and talents to the students and to achieving the mission of the school. I would also like to thank Andy Biskin and Ryan Johnston for their technical support with this evening's webcast. De La Salle Academy is much more than a school. As you heard tonight, it is a community, a family, all due to the vision of one man who believed and took the risk to start a school when so many people advised him against doing so. His legacy will continue, and personally, I am thankful to have had Brother Brian in my life for the last 3 decades. Now, I will turn it over to Josh for closing remarks.
Thank you, Ron and Leslie, and thanks to all of you at home for bearing with us. I understand that YouTube is having some technical difficulties, but thanks for hanging in there with us. We appreciate it. And I hope that you all have enjoyed this evening as much as I have enjoyed hosting this virtual benefit, honoring Brother Brian Carty. And I think that we can all leave tonight feeling inspired and grateful that 37 years ago, Brother Brian took a leap of faith to start De La Salle Academy. Now, I just got an update. Thanks to the generosity of so many of you who've made a donation to the Brother Brian Carty Legacy Fund, we have raised, get ready for it, $500,132, and with the Board of Trustees match on top of that, another $25,000, we're totaling $525,132. And the gifts are still coming. Wow. So please know that the BBC Legacy Fund continues beyond this evening. It'll go through June 30th. So no, it's not too late to give. What a wonderful night this has been. Thank you again. Thank you all so much for joining us. And Brother Brian, on behalf of all of us, a sincere thank you and congratulations. Good night.
Brother Brian, from the bottom of my heart, thanks for taking a chance on the shy kid from Queens. I hope I've made you proud.
Dear Brother Brian, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for founding De La Salle Academy.
Brian, you know how grateful I am that 31 years ago, you agreed to hire me to come to teach at De La Salle Academy. You're the only one who was willing to take a chance on that commitment. And I'm grateful that I had that opportunity to spend 31 years at De La Salle. Thank you very, very much.
So thank you, Brother Brian, for all of those hugs at a time when I needed them the most, and even now as they continue to last forever.
Brother Brian, thank you for all that you've done. The impact that you've had on each of us and our families is immeasurable.
Thank you for your friendship, for everything you've taught me, and for the many, many laughs.
Thank you so much for being an inspiration. Thank you for your guidance and for your encouragement.
Brian, thank you so much for your friendship. I've loved every minute of it. And most of all, I've loved the fact that you've made me laugh, and you make everyone laugh. Good luck.
On behalf of the Charles and Marjorie Holloway Foundation, I would like to wish Brother Brian success and happiness in the next phases of his journey.
Thank you, Brother Brian, for creating an educational space for bright middle school students who could not afford a private school education.
Brother Brian, I just want to say thank you so much for all that you do for our school community.
Thank you for being a constant and consummate servant to students who would not have ordinarily had this opportunity to achieve such a world-class education.
Brother Brian, thank you for your kindness and your generosity. You have touched the lives of so many, including mine.
Thank you so much for your impact on my life, on my family, on the many lessons that you taught me at the reception desk and on the credenza. the good laughs, the good jokes that we've told each other, but more importantly, the role that you've played in my life as a father figure, as a mentor, and as a continued presence and a counsel of wisdom for me moving forward.
Thank you so much to Brother Brian for essentially informing me, encouraging me to really get into the work that I do these days.
Thank you, Brother Brian.
So I just want to thank you so much for giving me a shot. If it wasn't for you giving me that chance, I don't know where I would be today.
Thank you so much, Brother Brian.
I am so grateful that our paths have crossed.
Congratulations, Brother Brian.
Felicidades, hermano Brian Carty.
Wishing you all the best, BBC.
May God continue to bless you, brother.
I wish you much happiness and fulfillment in this next chapter of your life.
You will be missed, Brother Brian, but your presence will endure here forever.
Love you, Brother Brian.
Love you, Brother Brian.
Love you.
Love you, Brian.
Love you.
Love you.
God bless you, Brother Brian.